Hi, it's Michael here from EC Off-Road. We're out here on location today to give you a review on our Bushtracker Caravan that we've had for about 8 months now. We wanted to do this because when you look online, there's not a lot of reviews on current vans, on how they're constructed and what's in them, what's on them, and what's really useful today. We've also got a lot of our own products integrated into this, so we want to walk you through the van. So one of the big reasons we chose Bushtracker was when we looked around the market at all the vans that are out there, and there's a lot of fantastic vans out there on the market, Bushtracker are pretty much the only one that I could really find that do a true custom van. And what I mean by that is, you go select, say, a 19-foot van, and they'll give you 6, maybe 8 layouts, most manufacturers, and you might be able to change colors and maybe you can add a few batteries and solar panels and things like that. But Bushtracker, the only true manufacturer that we've found that would literally allow you to do anything you could possibly imagine. This particular van behind me is a 19-foot extended drawbar family van with twin bunk beds and separate shower and toilet. One thing I noticed is they offer a lot of extra water than a lot of other van manufacturers. Most van manufacturers offer maybe 2 or 3 tanks, most tanks varying between 80 and 100 litres. This van actually has 5 tanks in it, plus a grey water tank. Something else they offer, we didn't go for it, was they offer a very particular filtration system that allows you to pick up fairly highly contaminated water and pump it back into your tanks and do it safely to protect yourself and your family. They offer a huge amount of weight carrying capacity. As per example, the van behind me, we've got a 3,000 kilo tare weight with a 3850 total mass load. With 850 kilos of being able to carry capacity is exceptionally good. Right, so on the Bushtracker as standard, we've got the Hitch Easy, that's a 5-ton rated hitch. They're actually made here in Victoria, I found out. Trailer plug, in our case we've got 7-pin. The camera setup, so we've got dual cameras on the rear that we supplied and installed. We've got a big power setup, so we've actually got twin 50 amp Andersons here that we'll get into a bit later. We've got our electric jack, that's a really nice thing, just making lifting on and off the van super easy. And wheel, not really needed because you ain't moving this van around by hand. Park brake, we've got our water system that we will get into a little bit more detail of how the Bushtracker water system works here. So we've got 4 taps and so on and so forth here. We've also got a red Anderson here that is our additional solar input for a solar blanket, or in this case to hook up to our car. Twin tyre carriers. Now you'll notice one of mine is actually currently empty at the moment. We actually use this when we're traveling locally to put firewood in, because it's just so great being able to get out on site, and if there's no firewood, you've got ready to go. Now it is empty because I just emptied it from my last trip. And we've got our twin 4-kilo gas bottles. Now that was a little bit of a surprise getting to 4 kilos. I was honestly expecting 9 and was a little bit disappointed when I picked up the van to see twin 4s. However, honestly, after using the van, we're getting about 2 to 3 weeks out of a bottle with the gas hot water and gas cooktop and gas barbecue for being our gas appliances. So it's really, honestly, has not been an issue. So it just works really well. So in this case, we've got our stone deflector that would normally go in here. That's all off it, because we've got our custom made bike rack that we made at EC to go onto this as well. So the nice thing about the tyre racks is you've got ramps on either side to make it nice and easy to get wheels out, and we've added a garbage bag to store our rubbish in on the front here. So something that's really unique about the Bushtrackers is their water system. They run obviously a multitude of tanks like this van does, and a fairly unique way of filling them and draining your tanks. So on the front of your van, you've got 1 outlet, so for washing your hands externally. You've got 3 inlets. One is a dedicated one to your drinking water tank. The other 2 is, one is for your mains, like main water fill lines, so say you would off a pressure tap. Then you've also got a pump in one, so you can say pump out of a bucket or a creek or a river and directly into your tanks. This manifold here allows you to select which tank you would want to fill, and how you know it's full is by the outlets that you would have seen before the overflows. They'll usually gurgle away until it fills up and then just overflow on the ground, so you can't possibly overfill or damage anything. So when it comes to using our water, all of our selection of tanks are here. So we've got 2, 3, 4 and 5 tanks. We'll notice we haven't got number 1. Number 1 is your dedicated drinking water tank, and you can't turn that on and off, and is available through your kitchen only through a separate tap. You've got your suction line, so you can draw from a bucket of water or anything you so see fit from the front of the drawbar. So that can be selected from in here. Now, as standard, Bushtracker actually don't supply any water tank monitoring unless you select it as an option as part of your build. That was something I wasn't aware of because I'd never seen a van without water tank monitors. It wasn't something I thought to order when I was ordering my van. Bushtracker's response to not having that was that it's not really required because unlike many other vans, we carry so much more water, therefore you're generally always quite safe in regards to how much water you've got and have ample amount. That to most parts I've found to be really quite true. However, I did want water tank monitors. The Bushtracker did offer a number of retrofit solutions. I ended up going in a slightly different direction that we'll show you. Is a Cymarine setup with our water tank leveling, and we also installed with that temperature sensors so we can see what the temperature is inside and outside, so just another little nicety we added. You'll also notice in here we've got our electric step controller that's factory as part of the electric steps that we chose, so you can get mechanical or electrical. We wanted electricals for having a fairly modern day van. We've got our awning controls, it's our manual switches here, plus it's Bluetooth, plus it also includes a remote. Now we have a blanked off panel here that we've fitted because we've installed digital solid state relay switch pro setup to control all of our external lighting that we've fitted. We've also got another controller in the tunnel boot so we can control the lights both inside and outside as well as also from Bluetooth, so it's really nice. So if I'm back in the van at night, I can turn the rear lights on without even leaving the driver's seat. That's a really nice thing. Or same thing I can do from outside the van. Another huge added benefit that's something we specialize here at EC is something that's really unique with these lights is it gives you the ability to be able to dim them. Now with our external lights, the way they were factory, you couldn't dim them, you couldn't control the light output of each light, it was just what it was. Now we have the ability to control the light settings on each light individually all the way right around the van. That is a really nice addition. So starting with the finish of our van, Bushtracker offer a couple of different options, but the main two ones being fiberglass, that's what I've opted for, and your metal cladding. The reason we went for fiberglass was a more modern look, cheaper insurance in some cases, easy to repair, but mainly for us the more modern look. We also got the bush barrier protection, I believe they call it, that's also quite strong along the lower section, and obviously going with it in black. I think there's a couple of different color options there available as well. Seems to tend to work very well. Moving along, we've got our gas outlet for our barbecue. We could have had a slide out kitchen, but we opted not to, so we just have a barbecue on a table that we can remove. Plus we've also got the ability to take it with us and we can take a gas bottle out off it and say cook by a creek somewhere if we wanted to. That just made it a little bit more flexible and saved us a little bit on weight as well. So we've got our shower outlet here. We've also got another one on the offside rear that's really handy for washing down the kids if they go get muddy or playing in the sand. It's really nice. Now right along here, we've got our waterproof door. That's something I've only ever seen on a Bushtracker van. What this does is it allows you to fold it over if you want to traverse deeper water, because obviously we've got a vent down there that's directly open to the inside that will allow you to seal off, and realistically I reckon you could traverse water at about 1 meter deep from the ground up. That's really going to be around sort of your windows on your halfway up your doors to your window height in your full drive, and if you're traversing water that deep, you're probably in a world of trouble if you want to go deeper. But they're very well sealed, especially once that door's closed. We opted for the second lifestyle table here, so we've got two. We've got the 240 outlet as standard and 12 volt. 240 is really great because when we want to use the induction cooker outside or the air fryer if the weather's nice and things like that, really great. Down towards the back now, we've got a external fiberglass box that's got our second toilet canister in it. Now, the reason we went for a second toilet canister is we were a little bit novice to the whole caravan thing, not really sure how long we're going to get out of a toilet, and once it becomes full, obviously you're in a bit of trouble if you can't empty it quickly. We find we get somewhere between 2 and 4 days out of a canister with a family of 4, depending on, of course, usage, so definitely handy in having a second canister. And we've got a power pole carrier up the back there that was something that was suggested to us. In hindsight, probably not really needed because of the type of awning that we have. We don't really have any poles to carry for anything because we don't use an annex. Great thing about the awning, it's super quick and easy to set up. That certainly suits us down to a T. Probably may not suit everyone if you're a little bit taller because you've got the arms and the way that they work. Just having those low hanging obstacles to potentially bump your head on. But other than that, they're absolutely fantastic. Notice up here, what most people think is a speaker. That's actually the external fan for our range hood. That seems to work very, very, very well for when you're cooking. However, I guess one of the byproducts of that is it is quite noisy, where if you're sitting out here saying you're having an afternoon drink and someone's cooking inside, it can get quite annoying, but not the end of the world when something works well. So on the back of our van, something the Bushtracker seem to not do is they never fit boxes or anything to the back of their vans. Something they seem to really discourage. I never really dived into it as to why. One thing I can put to it maybe is just miss weighting your vans and getting your weight distribution right, as you always want to have a fair bit of ball weight to make them tow nicely. LED lights, of course. We've got our recovery points down the bottom here, and until last weekend I hadn't actually ever used them, and I was very grateful they were there. Last weekend they're certainly bloody strong, and they haven't bent, especially under all the stress we put them under. We've got our EC twin camera. We've got our hardcore lighting on the outside here that we've also got the same on the front again. It's really, really nice to be able to back up, giving you a white and yellow option or amber option, as well as create just a nice ambient light around the van of an evening if that's what you're after. So, but they're very, very multi-purpose lights, so they're certainly bright enough to reverse with, and certainly nice to create some mood lighting. So on the other side of our van is our spare canister. This is the actual toilet now, so we've got the toilet canister in actually here, the one that gets used. We've got our two windows for our shower and toilet. We've got our fridge vents here, our main power inlet, so for both charging or running the van off. Now, our great product, our Tread GT ramps here. Something this van was actually originally meant to have was the air suspension, but it didn't unfortunately get it as they discontinued that line. So we needed ramps. So when doing extensive research in the market of what ramps were around and what worked best, the GT Tread ramps came out on top by a country mile. So I personally chose these ones. Absolutely love them, couldn't fault them, wouldn't change a thing about them. Moving along, got our external lights and the other side of our tunnel boot that is one of the largest tunnel boots I've ever seen in any caravan. That gives you just a massive amount of storage space. So Navigator make a great range of products specialised at the leisure sector, both for caravans and four-wheel driving. This is just one of their many products that they do that's just absolutely fantastic. They're really well designed, really well thought out, specially designed for the solid tows with the vents inside and a sort, so they're really well thought out. We have a couple of the Navigator products. We've also got the Navigator rubbish bag on the front that is really good as well. Got nice pockets for storing excess bags in, as well as storing all your rubbish in. And we've got a couple of other their bags that work really, really well for what they're intended for. While talking about great products, something else that I needed to choose when you choose an RV or a caravan, we need to choose a way of like hoses and things like that and storing some of our products. We chose the Lay Flat International Lay Flat hose that is just a great compact way of storing it. One thing that is really, really nice about this product, when you wrap up the hose, it squeezes out all the water as you go. So I mean, you're not going to end up with the inside of your van nice and wet because there's all this residual water inside. That is just a fantastic thing, super quick and easy to set up and really, really nice. And obviously, as you can see, really great and easy to use. The other one that they offer a couple of different options. This is our orange one that you can normally run a power reel on. We actually run this for our solar cable because this van doesn't really need a lot of 240 because of the big off-grid setup that we're running. But yeah, that's just a really, really great product. Super easy, quick and effective. Now the part of the video you've all been waiting for. What did EC do when it came to building their own caravan and power system? We did a 1000AH Lithium with 5 200 DCS batteries in our custom EC tray, making it nice and easy to service, lightweight and durable and strong. Now that's paired with our eCombi 2800 watt inverter. That means we can run absolutely anything we want through to our inverters, induction cookers, and so on and so forth. Now also pairing that with our 240 volt charger, giving us 120 amps of charge to charge this massive battery bank. So when it comes to solar, the van came with a massive 1360 watts worth of solar, but in true EC style, we wanted more. Paired with our car, we've gone over 2 kilowatts worth of solar in the whole setup. And that is just absolutely fantastic when it comes to recharging his batteries, even on an overcast day or when you're in shade. It just still puts in a nice charge and we can pretty much never drain the battery down now. The last component of this, we've talked about 240, we've talked about solar, but now when you're towing your van, how do you charge up your battery? With a 1000AH Lithium, a 50 DC-DC is just not going to cut the mustard. We went with twin DC-DCs at 50 amp capacity to tow behind our 200. Now, many of you are going to start asking, well, how do you do that with a 200 series alternator? They're only 130 amps. In true EC style, we upgraded that as well. To power our twin DC-DCs at the back of the car, we need to do a few things to this car to get it up to spec to be able to do the job. We need to put a 70mm square cable through to the front to the rear of the car. We also need to do that because we have a 2000 watt inverter in the back of the car and huge demands there as well. We then did twin 130 amp DCS batteries under bonnet and a 240 amp Black Series alternator under bonnet that we have now exclusive rights, thanks to the guys at Black Series, to install with lithium batteries under bonnet. That just gives us it covers our massive power demands all day, every day. So now when it comes to the inside of the Bushtracker van, it's probably one of the most important parts because this is the part you live in every single day when you're using your van. Everything inside the Bushtracker is customizable to suit your own requirements. Some of the key features and what we chose and why were we wanted an east-west bed, because one of the theories was you only really sleep in it. We didn't mind having to climb over each other to get in and out of bed. That's one of the cons to it, the Bushtracker portray, but it gave us more internal van space by about an extra foot. So you turn, say, a 19 foot into a 20 foot by doing that. So definitely a huge win for us. One of the other things that we really wanted to do was we put the TV in the actual bed area and deleted the second window in the bed. Draw card to that is you lose some of that cross flow across the bed, but what you do get is you don't have a TV in your kitchen, meaning every time you're in the kitchen, and for us, like entertaining the kids, definitely a bit of a problem. So we definitely thought that was really good. And on the rainy days, we can throw the kids on the on the master bed, and we've got the table, say if we want to do some paperwork or anything like that, or catch up on some emails. So giving us this space here that's really nice. Moving to along the van, we've obviously kitchen, we did the cafe style seating that certainly worked for having two kids, worked really well compared to a lot of the other van layouts that we saw out there. Plenty of overhead storage space. We did an electric roof hatch that I think is just an absolute must, especially if you get flies in the van. You can pull across the vent and open up the thing and flies can fly out without having to try and shoo them. Just a little thing I learned from hiring a van, actually. I learned that little trick. Of course, we've got our air conditioner back here. Nice big fridge, freezer that's just, great. This is a compressor one, not a three-way. Of course, with the big battery system. Diesel ducted heating. Now, something that Bushtracker also do is they put a diesel outlet in the shower. Now, one thing that's really nice about that is, of course, that means you can have a nice warm shower, so when the water's on and off, you stay nice and warm in there, but it also means it turns it into a drying chamber, so we can dry all our towels, even in the middle of winter, or if we're in the colder areas, it gives us the ability to be able to dry stuff and just close the door and throw it in there to dry. It also means the shower dries very quickly, even by the next morning when you go to leave, everything's bone dry from the heater running either overnight or even just in the morning. So that works really well. We opted for a separate shower and toilet. Main reasons being is, of course, if you have them integrated, you have a shower, now all your toilet's wet, so that was one of the big things for us why we wanted it like the way it is, and it works really well. Having obviously just two kids, obviously we did the twin bunks, that's a bit of a no-brainer there. That works really well. Now, something else that we added internally in this van is we added a lot of USB points, including wireless charging points at the master bed to be able to charge our phones overnight. That was just a really nice modern touch to it, making it feel like a much more modern van, and having those USB outlets everywhere, as everything these days is of course USB charged, works really well. So something we've found that works really well throughout the van is having the Scirocco fans. We've got one in each of the kids' bunk beds, as well as obviously a couple in the master bedroom that work really well. And then we've got a fantastic fan that's in the shower that helps draw air through the van. Works really nice. We can crack the window in the master bedroom, have it drawing air through the shower. It pulls air all the way through the van. So on those warmer days, it really helps to cool it down and also dry out the van with condensation as well. Now, the last thing we did that Bushtracker do when they're designing their vans, Bushtracker's objective when they build their vans is reliability, simplicity, that is just a great feature to have for anyone who does remote traveling. We did want to modernize that a little bit, so we did also add internal switch pros that we touched on with our external lights. We also have done that with our internal lighting, so we can switch on any of the lights from either the bed location or the overhead in anywhere throughout the van, and of course adding a dimmable function, of course, to all of our internal lighting. That was just a really nice touch, and of course giving us that Bluetooth connectivity once again with the solid state relays. Just a really nice seamless integration with that, modernizing the van a little bit more. So one of the things that everyone asks, what was your experience like with Bushtracker to deal with from, I guess, the start of the process right through to the end? Bushtracker and all has been absolutely fantastic, but to go into a little bit more detail how the process works with Bushtracker, when we obviously made the inquiry, we did it by the phone / online. We sent through an inquiry to say we were interested in a Bushtracker family van. That initially started off with sending out a few basic layouts to give us some ideas of things that they could do for us. And then from there, we obviously had reviews and look at that. From that point, they then scheduled a meeting with us to go up there in Queensland to sit down and design our van and go through the plan in detail, choosing colors, layouts, just finalizing details, how many of this we want, how many of that we want, PowerPoints, etc. All the little bibs and bobs that you want in your van, where you want your fans located and things like that. And they do have the ability, if you're very, very particular, to be able to customize. Being that this was our first van that we have ever built, that we relied on Bushtracker very heavily to give us a lot of guidance to what was going to work and what wasn't going to work. Being very, very fussy myself, they absolutely nailed so much of that stuff straight off the mark first time. And I was honestly thinking, oh, I'll probably end up with another van in 2 years' time because I want to change stuff. There's really very little I would honestly change in the van. I've made a few modernizations that we've talked about in our video, like some of the electrical things, but other than that, the van absolutely worked. And none of those electrical things, I must point out, were really required. They did work. There was nothing wrong with them. I just wanted a more modern spin on things with modern day switching systems. So what did EC really put into this van? Well, we upgraded obviously the solar system that we've talked about. We went to 1000 amps of lithium with our battery design. We did our water tank monitoring and of course, all our digital switching for all of our lighting system that just works absolutely seamlessly. And of course, last but not least was the motorbike rack that we've got on the front that we just needed to be able to transport the bike when we were doing more local trips. So guys, I guess in conclusion, if you've got a van where you've just picked up or you've got an older van and you want to upgrade your power systems because they're just not meeting your current requirements, come see us at EC, guys. We can certainly help you out and design everything from really big setups. We can even go bigger if we wanted to, if that was something that you needed. But this was the requirements of what we needed to do what we wanted to do with this van that was running the air conditioner long periods of time, induction cookers, all the big things, of course, coffee machines, and be able to recharge those batteries nice and quickly and easily and effectively, taking every consideration into factor, especially with the big DCs, and thanks to our big alternator in our car, been able to do that kind of stuff. So there is a lot of factors that go into this to getting a perfect power system, and we've tried to consider every aspect of it. So if you've just picked up a van or you've got a van that you've had for a little while and the power requirements really aren't meeting your needs, give us a call today, guys. Drop us a line, send us an email, chat to us online. Come see us today with anything that you need for your next trip and your next van. I hope you guys have enjoyed our video.